Hello, Sidney here, and welcome to the Drunken Ork. Now, I've been looking through the Codex. It's been out now for a good week or three, if you've lucky enough to get a Beast Snagger Army box. Maybe a bit more, actually, not too sure. But there's a lot of people saying, oh, whoa, the green tide is dead. Big blobs of boys, there's no place for them anymore. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think the T5 and the -1 AP on the choppers is pretty lethal. I do understand what they're saying, and a lot of armies will be able to deal with that. You know, that sort of list, lots of boy-heavy lists. And I do think, though, now there's a good place for smaller units of orcs, especially since your usual small unit used for carrying out tasks and holding objectives, the grots, are less than favourable. Certainly less than desirable. Less than muck, to be honest with you. For the points, you get nothing. You can't have a grot at 5 points stand next to a poxwalker at 5 points, for example, and say, yeah, that looks about right, because it doesn't. I'm of the camp that I'd rather pay a few extra points to get the orcs. So if you've got these small mobs of orcs, 10, 11, 12, something like that, then why not transport them around the battlefield in a little bit of style in a truck? You can get yourself onto objectives quicker. You can even disembark the boys and then either leave the truck on the objective or the boys on the objective and send off the truck to block the boys, protect them a bit, whatever. Loads of options. So I looked at my army's truck, singular, and thought I need a few more. But I don't want to have lots of trucks all the same. So what I've done was I bought another truck kit, I bought a Tow Rocks, and I bought a Goliath from the Gene Seal Cunts, a rock grinder. And I smashed all the bits together, not literally, and basically a little bit of plastic card, a couple of extra bits from my bid box, and came up with 3 new trucks, 2 of which are now finished. And here they are. So this is a Deathskull truck. It was the Goliath. I built up the back to give it a hard top, so it's a bit like a food truck, and had just a gunner sticking out the top with a big shooter. I'm going to go through these in a moment to show you them in sort of the various stages of the build. And the other one I finished is the Tow Rocks. Now this one is being done for my Goffs. I generally run 3 detachments, Goffs, Deathskulls and Bad Moons. This is my Goff one, and it's primarily for the Beast Snagger boys. So that's why there's a big skull in the front. It is a beast that they have snagged. So without any further ado, we'll go through the steps, or some of the steps anyway, because I tend to get excited and don't take as many photos as I should, let alone film anything. So we'll go through the steps and hopefully we'll be able to piece together these 2 trucks. The third one I'm not going to do here, just to keep the video down a bit, and to be fair, it isn't finished yet, so I'll pop on a later video. But for now, let's have a look at these 2, and we'll start off with the Deathskulls. So here I've started building the Goliath. Put it together. Eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that I've put a couple of truck wheels on the front already. Just orkify that up, and just because I had a spare set of Goliath wheels then, stuck them on the back. I have been told since these are called dualies. Was they dual wheels? Which makes sense. And I started building up the truck itself at the back. Like I say, I wanted this to be a hard top, like a full-on, like, you know, Ork transit van type sort of feel. Got a criminal feeling about it, as the Deathskulls do. There it is from the other side. I just sort of followed the shape of the Goliath going around the back, so it wasn't just a straight up box. And there it is with a few more. There it is about 5 steps ahead. You see, I told you I forget to do this sort of thing. Take photos and what have you. I've cut a couple of spikes off a Death Dread claw to put some horns on the driver's viewing slit. I also stuck a few saw blades from that claw on the front there, either side of the cowcatcher. Now the cowcatcher there was something I made a while ago for a grot tank, which never came to be. So, you know, looting from orc vehicles, absolutely fine. There's a turret on top there. I think that's a resin hatch, I think from Puppets War, and just it's the orc gunner from the truck. There it is with a few more bits on, a little bit of plastic card just to make some dags over the wheel arches and some checks going around the turret. Get yourself some thin plastic card and get making your checks like that. It's so easy. It's much easier than painting them on, and then when you do come to paint them, it's an absolute joy. Also stuck a grenade launcher on there, and an additional exhaust pipe at the back. You get a lot of spare exhausts with the Baneblade upgrade kit. I think it's only about 12 quid, maybe 15, and you get the 2 additional sponsons for the Baneblade, which is the reason I bought them. If you don't use them, the sponsons can be used for other things, especially on large Ork vehicles. They come with the turrets, if nothing else. You also get loads of armour plates and the big barrels that go on the back of the Baneblade. There's 4 of them, as well as quad exhausts. So there's lots of extra bits on there. I think there's some ladders and other odds in it as well. Lots of stuff to use, which you don't even need with the Baneblade kit. In fact, you don't even need the Baneblade kit to buy it. Just get it. It's a cracking upgrade sprue. You can see it from the other side and towards the back. So I left the back open, the little flap down. Put some more checkers on the back. And you can see some of the armour plates I used from that Baneblade sprue I was just banging on about have got the Aquila on it. Now, you can scrape the Aquila off. It's not the hardest thing to do, it's a bit fiddly. But what I prefer to do is just cut away some of it, the skull or the eagle head or whatever the hell's in the middle, and then replace it with a couple of Ork bits. It's great, I think it's fantastic. Leaves a little bit of character to show it was Imperial, but now it's ours. Zog off. There, that's a better angle from the top, so you can see that main plate there with all the detail on, with the canvas covered boxes and the vents and the checker plate, and there's actually an exposed battery. That's all just off the Goliath. I've just stuck it on top just to give it the texture, plus the handrails as well. The little exhaust coming out the top, little chimney pot with another hatch, is just the lid off a killer can, and the bit next to it, I've no idea. I think it came off a flyer, but I'm just guessing. So yeah, that's it. Just about done. There we go. At that point, I've sprayed it black, then dry brushed, or quite wet brushed really, the rest of the model silver, and then went over it with Gunnerman Flesh Tone. So that's it. Pretty much done. At that point, it's all done. And see, I've painted the Ork Gunner as well. And I just need at this point to start picking out the colours, picking out the blue panels that I want to be blue. That's a primary colour with it being Deathskulls, of course. Some white panels, paint the checkers, and pick out the little sort of things like exhausts, pipes, wires, cabling. In this case, the Space Marine helmet on the front, the spikes on the cowcatcher, the saw blades, that sort of stuff. But if there's anything that I don't want to paint, and I think it's too fiddly to paint, to reach in the nooks and crannies or anything like that, I don't have to, because it's just left as bare, rusted and worn metal. And I've done a tutorial on how I do this sort of metal technique, so look that out on the Drunken Ork channel. You don't have to do it like that, of course, that's just the way I do it. And then once I've got the colours on, it looked like that. So that's it from one side. See the Aquila on the back. That's it from the other side. I like this. It's got a nice shape to it from the front, which we can see. And with the wedge on it, it's got the horns. It's got the big fat tyres, the big dragster style dualies at the back and there. And that back, your little platform, is unfortunately not big enough to stand an organ. The base, it would be in a 25, but not a 32. And here we have the tow rocks. So I built this, and as you can see, it hasn't got the tow rocks tracks on it. Not a big fan of the tow rocks tracks. Not as Ork wheels anyway. They're not really Ork enough for tracks for me. Although I did use I think it was a small pair as the feet/roller blades of a killer can, which was quite good, but I didn't fancy them for the truck, so I put the big wheel from a battle wagon on there, and the track section on the back was something I got from a website called soldark.ru, but that was off a kit, a little tank kit, which is a couple of quid. And you can see there's a little white plastic tray at the back, which is just to extend the base of the tow rocks out. But obviously it doesn't fit. The sides don't go that far back yet, so I'll have to work on that. So this one, you can see I've started working on the front. What I've done is I took the front off a mech gun, GW mech gun. I cut it in half, and then I just stuck them on, widened so they actually acted as the wheel arches. And there's a bit of plastic card which sits in between them, sort of bridging the gap, which has just got a few rivets stuck on it. Although to be fair, I covered that all up with the bull bar there, or the ramming bar, whatever you want to call it, the ram. Oh, I covered it up with the ram from the truck kit, so you don't need to go overboard with something like that. There's a few little thin strips of plastic card. It was just to fill a gap, just a little bit of decoration really. I've also stuck a turret on top here from Puppets War with a big shooter from the Wasbomb Blaster Jet kit. Again, another great kit with lots of pieces, lots of odds and sods. This one is coming in a bit more. I put some plastic card, some thick 2mm plastic card over the wheel arches, just to complete the wheel arches. And I stuck some of the little mudguard flaps, armour plates that hang down over the battle wagons tracks. I stuck those hanging on the back, act as well mudguards. Some little plastic card squares going on where normally would be a nice little embossed image of a lion, all growling and stuff, so we don't want any of that twaddle. So I like to say plastic card checks. Nice. On the back I've used the door sections off the truck, just stuck those on. Some little catches on the inside so they fit quite nice, and then any gaps which you would see just to the right of that piece you can see there are blocked up with another bit of plastic card. Basically, much as the Orks build trucks, I find it easier just to stick bits on, and then where there's gaps, stick other bits of armour plating over the gaps. It's the Orky way. Also put the roll bars from the truck over this one as well, because it was going to be open topped. So from the other side, you can see there's a couple of dags. There's just as decoration on there. I put some more of the plastic card checkers on. From the back, you can see there's more of those armour plates acting as mud flaps. Another bit from the truck there that acts as the tailgate, and that's one of the barrels that you get with the Baneblade kit, just slapped on because, you know, who doesn't love a barrel? Now, because the tailgate doesn't fill the entire back of it, I had to put some more plastic card panels in just to fill the gaps, and I stuck some checkers on those as well. This when it's been primed and dry brushed and ink washed, or rather contrast painted, just to get that manky coloration. And then it's got a little bit more dry brushing on it just to make it look nice and worn and weathered. And it, just the same as the last one, in fact the same with all stuff I do really vehicle wise. And then add the colour, which I mean most of the time I probably paint about 85% of it. And this is all just underneath and unnoticed, but if there's any bits you can't get to, any bits you don't fancy, any bits you can't be bothered, if you leave it unpainted, it'll just look like that, and that's fine. It blends in, it looks worn, it's decent. I love the profile of this. It's just so wide, big sort of wheel arches, it just looks, I think it looks menacing. Absolutely menacing. Although at this point I haven't got the skull on. And there it is finished. You see it's mostly black. There's a couple of panels which I left unpainted. The hubs of the wheels, the tracks, left them just as they were, didn't need any more work done. The turrets, I picked out the panels but left the strips bare. So yeah, you can just go to town. The ram bar just left with that rustiness. So there you go, that's it from the front finished. The skull I got from the skull kit, it was the biggest skull, that wasn't that massive bulbous one that looks like a Malteser with mandibles. I tried with that one, I toyed with it, but I would have had to hack it apart just to get it to lie flush, otherwise it wouldn't have looked right, because it's a big round skull. So that was the next biggest one. Glued it to the front, ran a chain through its eyes, which then go around the bull bars just to show how it's attached. Yeah. Quite pleased with this, to be fair. I normally do all my oil cans red, just as a matter of course, but because this had red on it I thought I'll try something different, and I just went with green, and that's just warp line and green with a green wash, and then a little bit of memory foam just to sponge on some Mournfang brown, and I think it looks really effective. I'll definitely be doing that again. So yeah, that's my Goff Beast Snagger truck. there you go then, trucks. I think they're going to be quite good this edition. You know, just for moving your boys around the battlefield. They've always been quite useful for stuff like that. The truck boys, specialist mobs, pretty sweet. I mean, you get your 12-inch truck movement. You then get the disembark after that, giving you an extra 3 as a bonus. Then you get to move another 5. So at that point, you're up to like a 20-inch range. If there was going on, there's another D6 to advance. And another 2D6 for your charge. Gives you an average threat range of about 30.5 inches, possibly up to 38, and that's without even being something ridiculous like Evil Sons. Stick that on, you can stick an extra few inches on top of that as well, so that's good. Other than that, those specialist mobs, imagine one of those trucks bombing around with 10 knobs and with Scorchers, or a budget version, Burner Boys, or Tank Busters, or something like that. You can put the Fortress, or what's it called, Fortress on Wheels. Yeah, is that the custom job now, to give it the invol, so you can give it a little bit more, you know, grit. It'll all come with ramshackle anyway. I just think trucks are are going to be decent, and they're not bad putting points either. So that's, I had one. I've just done those 2. I've got a third one, or fourth one, which is there. That's a normal truck kit, which I've put the battle wagon tracks on the back. And I always do this. I make little enclosed cabs. I've closed off the bonnet, and that way, you see, I get a spare Ork driver and an Ork gunner and an engine block. Not just a hat rack. So yeah, that's it. I'm not going any longer. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, of course. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.